Hello, gorgeous actor. If you are working on Portia's They Shall Nerissa monologue, maybe for an audition or an exam, then fabulous. I'm so glad you're here because I want to walk with you through this monologue. We're going to talk about what everything means, and I'm going to give you some Shakespeare tips as we go through and stuff that you can think about to make this your own so you can feel really confident in your own interpretation. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Sarah Gio. I'm your new Shakespeare coach. Let's do this. Before we start on this bit of the monologue, we have to talk about what just happened because you can see that she's reacting to something, right? She's answering a question. So just before this, Portia says, "Come on, Nerissa, I have work in hand that you yet know not of. We'll see our husbands before they think of us." So she's obviously like, "I've got an idea. Let's get out of here. I've got a little plan." And Nerissa's like, "Okay, what's this plan?" And she says, "Shall they see us?" So she's like, "Are you going to be sneaky about it? Are we going to like follow them or something? Are we being spies?" And Portia says, "They shall see us, Nerissa, but in such a habit that they shall think we are accomplishing with that we lack." So we're already getting pretty saucy. So if you thought that Shakespeare was fancy pants and always very polite, then you've definitely got the wrong end of the stick because Portia's being a little rude here. So she says, "Yes, Nerissa, they will see us, but we're going to be wearing such things in such a habit," meaning like in such clothing or such an attire, "that they shall think we are accomplished. We have the thing that we usually lack." And what is the thing that we as women usually lack? Now, because this is a comedic monologue, you can decide how much you want to play that moment. Like, does Nerissa get it? Do you have to like gesture in some way to make it obvious, or be like, come on, Nerissa, you can get, yeah, you got it, right? So you can play a little comedic moment there if you like. You could also just let it sort of, you could spell it out with the way you say it, or otherwise you could just say it and be like, "I'm gonna just assume that you're coming along for the ride," right? So your choice of style. I always think it's really useful when you're doing Shakespeare to think not about like what's right or correct, because a lot of the time people are freaking out. I work with a lot of students and they're like, "I don't know if I'm doing this right." Don't worry about whether you're doing it right. Worry about whether your choices are appropriate, because it's going to depend on your situation. If you are auditioning for a very traditional company that does productions for a very conservative crowd, you might not want to do the gestures. But if you're auditioning for a very contemporary company that loves to like be a bit out there, and maybe it's like outdoors, let's say, and you need to kind of play it big, then you can do those things. So just think about what's your situation, not about what's right. As actors, thinking about getting it right is always the thing that shuts down our creativity anyway. So just you've got choices, man. Okay. Something that you want to note in that line is the pronunciation of accomplished. So you'll notice I'm pronouncing the ED as in like you can hear it stressed as an additional syllable that I wouldn't usually say. That is because of the rhythm. And what I want you to do to find the right sound for this is to say the word painted. Just say the word painted out loud right now. So that sound that we use when we say painted, like I painted my house, it's a schwa sound, a neutral sound. You don't say, "I painted the house." And that's often what happens when people do Shakespeare. Accomplished, right? You don't need to make it so fancy. That's immediately going to make you go like, "Oh, I'm in another language. This is so oldie worldy." It's going to take you out of that truthfulness. So using that schwa vowel, it just feels more natural. Accomplished. Hope that was helpful. "I'll hold thee any wager. I'll bet you anything. When we are both accoutred like young men." So notice that line, you're probably getting it right. When we're dressed like young men. She was already hinting at it before, so now she's really making it clear, which makes me think that Nerissa was maybe not getting it so much. She's like, okay, so when we are dressed like young men, and then Nerissa might be like, oh, thank you, Nerissa. You're with me now? "I'll prove the prettier fellow of the two." Now, prettier doesn't necessarily have to be more beautiful. In this case, she could actually mean like more skillful, more intelligent. It can be used in a couple of different ways. So always, please write this all out in your own words. So you are choosing as you go through, what do I mean by prettier? Do I mean like hotter, or do I mean like smarter, or like better with a sword? If you're choosing that kind of skillful version, the better with a sword thing, it kind of links you into that next idea where she says, "And wear my dagger with the braver grace," right? So think about the things that are going to help you connect and draw the ideas together. My neighbor is watering her plants. I hope it's not noisy. I'm really sorry. What can you do? Let me just wait a sec. And so when she says, "and wear my dagger with the braver grace," you also want to have a look at, what do you think braver grace really means? It can be interpreted like, I'm going to look braver and I'm going to be graceful about it. Possibly, yeah. So it could be more about also like the showiness of it. Like, I'm going to look the best with a dagger, you know, I'm going to carry it well, I'm going to use it well. So just think about breaking down things so you're getting really specific about what do I mean when I say that? No, but really. And speak between the change of man and boy with a reed voice. So we're talking about, you know, when boys' voices change into deeper voices. So there's obviously, she's thinking that she's going to act like quite a young man, like a, you know, teenager, with a reed voice, being like, think of like an oboe, right? That's got like squeak, right? That's, she's going like, I'm gonna get kind of be squeaky with my voice. Like, imagine that I'm a boy, but I'm squeaky, right? So she's not saying I'm gonna talk like this. It's actually, she's gonna use a squeaky voice. And turn 2 mincing steps into a manly stride. So mincing steps, I think she's probably referring to herself a little bit there. Mincing could be affected or little feminine walks. I'm actually going to turn this into a big manly walk. So this brings us to one of the main decisions about this monologue, is how much are you going to act it out as you speak? How much are you going to kind of demonstrate it? What are you going to do with your body? And speak a phrase like a fine bragging youth. So phrase being like punch-ups. So I'm gonna be like, "And I fought these other guys. You should have seen the other guy." And notice here, she's going through, she keeps on going, and this, and that. So it's really important that you get this sense of that she's getting these new ideas in the moment. Don't play it like, I've planned this all before. One of the best exercises for this monologue is actually doing what I call new idea exercise, which is you either clap or click on every new line, new idea, which is pretty much every time she says "and." So you're like, "and speak between the change of man and boy," right? And so give yourself that sense of like, oh, I've got a new idea. You might not actually perform it exactly like that, but it really gives you that sense of like, I know this. It's a hugely energetic monologue. "And tell quaint lies, how honorable ladies sought my love." Quaint being like clever and elaborate lies about how wonderful women were trying to win me, which I, denying, they fell sick and died. Right, you're getting the idea. So because I said, no, I'm not for you, they all died of heartbreak. I could not do with all. So this is a line that kind of throws people off sometimes. It's like, I couldn't do anything about it. There's a lot of comedy to be found there. Oh, they died, but you know, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it, man. I couldn't do anything. "Then I'll repent." So big switch and lots of fun playing this. Then I'll feel sorry. I'll take it all back and wish for all that I had not killed them. Like, oh man, I'm really sorry about these women. You know, who are these men that she's hanging around? Actually, you know what? She talks at the start of the play about all these men that are coming to seek her love. Maybe she's finding a little bit of inspiration in some of the people that she's seen. So that can be something that really fuels you as well. As you're speaking, are you thinking of particular people that you've seen do this? Because she says, "I have within my mind 1,000 raw tricks of these bragging jacks, which I will practice." So she's obviously seen it in practice and she's like, I know what these guys talk like. I'm just going to practice it. Anyway, so great. Going back, I got a bit excited. "And 20 of these puny lies I'll tell." So she's really built to a point now, right? She's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I've got like 20 of them, man. These stupid, puny, like stupid little lies that I'm gonna tell. "That men shall swear I have discontinued school above a 12-month. That people, men, like anybody or the other guys, you could be more specific, would be like, for sure, this person has definitely only just finished school in the last year because they're so immature and they keep squeaking. And then I have within my mind 1,000 raw tricks of these bragging jacks. So raw being like kind of basic of these bragging jacks, these arrogant dum-dums which I will practice. Right, now if you need a little bit more, if that's a little short for your audition situation, you could also add a little bit when she's responding to Nerissa in a moment. She says, "But come, I'll tell thee all my whole device when I am in my coach, which stays for us at the park gate, and therefore haste away, for we must measure 20 miles today." Basically, she's like, I'm going to tell you the rest when we get in the coach, because we got to get going. And that's the basic breakdown there. This is such a fabulous monologue for using your physicality to really demonstrate what you can do with your body. So if you are in person, I highly recommend move around. And even if you're planning to do this as a self-tape, really, really recommend practice it moving around first, so you get that energy, you get the sense of like, yeah, I'm getting into it. And then pull it back towards the end of your process when you kind of got it in the body, pull it back, and then kind of find that stillness when you're in front of the camera. But it's better to rehearse big, get the energy, and then pull it back, than try and just kind of keep it small the whole way, because usually what happens is that it becomes really lackluster. It's a really big problem with a lot of people coming to Shakespeare, is that we just get too chill. We don't really practice getting that energy that's needed. It needs physical and vocal energy. Sometimes that's kind of energy that's really obvious, and sometimes it's just that potential energy that you hold inside. So start with the kinetic energy, right? Move around and then bring it back to potential energy. I'm so excited. I'm going to do this thing, but I can pull it back, right? Biggest thing. I'm so glad you're still here, because this is something that people miss. This is a big moment for her where she is planning to finally live her best life, right? She's had to follow other people's rules this whole time. And so all of Shakespeare's plays where women dress up as men, when you see them have these moments where they're talking about either what it's going to be like to be a man, or they're in that character and they're kind of, going nuts like Rosalind in As You Like It, what's happening for them is a sense of freedom. Finally, there is thrill, there's relief in that, right? So imagine that you've been in a box your whole life, and finally, you know what? I'm gonna go and do this, right? So find that freedom, find that thrill, that relief, that energy that comes from finally getting to do what you want, okay? One thing that can be really helpful is to have a look at other monologues and scenes from the play, so you really get in her head. Especially looking at that first scene is really, really great, where she's whinging about how horrible her life is and how she's tired of the world. That is such a great place to start, to get you in the headspace of what it's like for her when she starts the play. She's just stuck, right? And so perhaps it was Bassanio, the person that she really wanted to choosing the casket, and that has made her go like, maybe life's not so bad. And you know what? I'm gonna dress up and go on an adventure. Why not, hey? He gets to go on an adventure. I think I'm going to as well. And maybe somewhere in her mind, she's planning that she's going to just test him out a little bit. Because that's also a thing that Shakespeare's women do as well. They want to test out whether the person that they love is really going to stand by them. And I talk about that in the breakdown for I Pray You Tarry as well. So I'm going to link a couple of Portia's breakdowns on screen for you, so you can jump into some other ones and keep your learning going. Get up on the floor, man. So good for you. And love and luck for your audition. See you in the next video. Mwah!